the tides are changing. I mean, just about 2 years ago or just a year ago, there were so many women, young girls online talking about how they don't need a man. I don't need a man. I don't need a man. And now all the ladies are talking about how they want to be in a relationship. They're talking about how dating is so hard. It's so hard to find a boyfriend. It's so hard to be in a relationship, like to get the guys have checked out. So it's so difficult to find a guy who is ready to commit in a long-term relationship, of course, due to red pill and also due to the things that they saw most of the women and the girls talking about online, how they don't need a man. So it has been a turn-off for most of the guys. So without much talk, let's watch a few videos of young girls talking about their dating struggles.
I've never had a boyfriend before and I'm 30. And all throughout my 20s, this was something that actually really scared me. It was something I was super ashamed of, super embarrassed by. I felt really left out. I just thought I was like one of the only people because I was around a lot of people that were in relationships or who were already married and way ahead of me on that timeline. And I was scared that it was never going to happen for me. I have dated, I have been in situationships with men, but I've never met someone who I feel like I would want to spend a long period of my life.
Okay, she talked about how while she was growing up, she felt like she was left out because most of her friends were in a relationship. So she felt like she had to catch up, but she couldn't. And she also talked about situationship. And I want to really capitalize on situationship. I mean, for a long time, situationship and hookup had been the order of the day. Like almost all the young girls wanted to have this experience. It became like a trend. Most of the young girls wanted to hook up and just have that experience, to test the waters, to sample as many guys as they could. You know, it was a culture. It's a trend. And, you know, when you get into the trend blindly, and before you know it, you're so deep, far gone into the trend that it destroys your life, it affects your life. And these are the consequences. These are the things that we're seeing so many young girls, so many women saying that they've never really had the chance to be in a relationship, like to be in a long-term relationship, to be in a committed relationship, because they have been like into situationships, and it is so difficult for you to nurture a long-term relationship when you give the vibe, or you give like you prove or you show that you are more into situationship, like hookup, casual relationships. You just want to hang out, Netflix and chill, and then after that you ghost the guy or the guy ghosts you. And when you give that kind of vibe, it shows. And that's how it happens. And it has been like something, like I said, it's a trend for most young girls, most women nowadays. Even when you go, every time you switch online, I don't need a man, I don't need a man. But you see them hanging out, having hookups and situationships.
My life with, like who I would want to be in a relationship with. And this was something that in my early 20s, I actually just never saw myself falling in love or being in a relationship. I always just thought like I would be the person who would never be in love, and love was stupid. And I think ultimately it was just a way to avoid getting hurt. I definitely have been in toxic situations where I've been treated really poorly by men and just used. In I think you could put 2 and 2 together for situationships in your early 20s.
Yeah, I think the point where she says that yeah, she never really saw herself like someone who fall in love and all that. And then she mentioned that it was kind of some sort of a protection. She was using it to protect herself because she had been in toxic relationships, situationships where she had been treated so bad. I mean, this is really common. I'm a girl, I can relate to that. You know, we always try to protect ourselves, especially when we've had a very bad experience with a previous man. We try to protect ourselves. And most of the time, when you hear us talking about we don't need a man, we don't want to be in a relationship, it's a form of protection. We're trying to protect ourselves. We're trying to protect our hearts. I mean, no one wants their hearts to be broken once, twice, or the third time. No one wants that. So all you have to do is to protect yourself. And unfortunately, when we try to say the things that are in our hearts, we say it like we don't need a man. I mean, like someone said before, our actions are our thoughts. Everything you do, you process it first in your mind, in your mind and in your brain. You process it. So in action, you're putting it out. These are things that are from the inside. So if you're trying to protect yourself from if you're trying to protect yourself from toxic men, and then you use the term that I don't need a man, I can never fall in love, and then you mistakenly say this to a man, trust me, or you say it in the hearing of men, they will be scared. They don't want to be with someone who doesn't even want to be committed. I mean, it's a normal human instinct. It's not only for the men. It's about like anyone who sees you and you say that I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. That's a turn off, you know.
And I think it really did mess me up. And it wasn't until I really started doing a lot of therapy around my mental illnesses that I learned kind of the impact those situationships had on me overall. And so when I say I've never had a boyfriend, it used to be something that I was super, super ashamed of because I just figured at this point in my life, 30, I would definitely be in a situation or be at least close to like getting married, having kids, living with someone, like all those things I figured would already be like part of my life, but they're not. I want to share a little bit about why I think that's okay and why I'm coming to terms with where I'm at in my life is exactly where I'm supposed to be. Even though at times I find it really hard, I still believe that everything will work out how it's supposed to. And I'm just trying to have more faith that the universe will guide me wherever I need to go. But I truly did believe that by now I would be in love and would have found my person. And I think it's super easy for people to say, like, if they've been in relationships in the past or had like really bad experiences, that to be like, girl, you're not missing out on anything. I totally respect where you're coming from, but I think if you're like me and you've never experienced a relationship or been with someone that you really love and want to spend more time with or see your future with, we don't know what that feels like. Like, we're very much used to being alone and not having the support from that person. And so when you say things like that, I totally understand and I could agree with you, but we also want to experience that in life. I think everybody in life just really wants to feel loved and feel like they belong with someone. And
True. Everybody in life wants to feel loved by that special person. Like she rightly said, yes, you've come to you've made peace with the fact that you don't have a boyfriend, but you have never been in a relationship before and you are longing to have that person that you can call your person, the person that you can call you can be with and you can feel loved and beloved, you know. But when you turn around and see people saying that, no, okay, I'm 40, I'm 30, I don't need a boyfriend, I don't need a man, I don't want to be in a relationship. I don't know. I really love the fact that she's genuine, she's being vulnerable, and she's saying it as it is. And I wish her all the best, and I hope that she finds someone that she's going to experience being in a relationship, because you can only talk about what you know. You have never been in a relationship, so you can only talk about that. But you can never cancel the fact that people are happy in relationships, and the experience in being in a relationship with someone is different from being alone. So many people want to have that experience. Maybe not necessarily wanting to get married or settle down, but just have a boyfriend, like long-term relationship, and have that experience. That's what she's talking about. So I applaud her for this. And with this kind of mindset, I believe she's going to find that person with whom she's going to have that experience of a boyfriend girlfriend relationship. And who knows, it can end up in marriage and she has kids and be happy, like she already said that at some point she was thinking that, okay, by now she should be living with her boyfriend or living with her man and they have kids and be happy. But she hasn't had that experience, and that's what she really wants. She wants to have that experience. That's her choice. And that's something that most people think about, but they cannot say it out loud. But I applaud her for this.
And they want to have that comfort with someone and experience what it feels like. But I also believe that this is nothing to fear of. I saw a lot of people being like, oh my gosh, I hope this is not me. And I totally understand it. When I was in my early 20s, I would have been so disgusted if this was my life now, because I just thought, like, to be single when you're 30 and to not be in the position to even like be living on your own and things like that would just be like, you're so behind in life and you're obviously failing. But now that I'm here, I totally understand that life and everyone's journey has a different way of evolving and moving forward. And you should never ever feel ashamed or embarrassed for where you are at any stage in your life, because it's your life and everyone is going through different challenges. So don't let the fear cripple you from living where you are right now, and don't let it take away from the present life that you're in. So if you're in your early 20s or maybe your late teens or your mid 20s and you're seeing this and you're like, oh my God, I really hope this doesn't happen to me, you're gonna be okay if it does, because your relationship or being in a relationship does not define you. And I feel like it's one of the big things that we think it does.
Yeah, life is a dynamic equilibrium. I mean, life is constantly moving and constantly changing. And everyone has different experiences in life, and everyone's life evolves differently. So, like she said, we should just be positive, just live your life and keep moving. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. If it's not gonna happen, it's not gonna happen. But you should be prepared for the worst. You should be prepared that it's gonna happen, and you should also be prepared that it might not happen.
No one is gonna think less of you or more of you if you're in a relationship or not. Like, that should not be who you are or what you do with your life. You don't need to identify yourself by being someone who's in a relationship. So just know that if this video is reaching you.
Yeah, unfortunately, like she said, your relationship doesn't define you, but it all depends on the kind of culture where you come from. Like, for instance, where I come from, if you're 30 and you're not married, society is gonna pressurize you. I mean, oh my God. Your aunties are going to be asking you like, oh, when are you bringing your man? When are you getting married? And where I come from, there is always one celebration to another. People are getting married. There's a traditional marriage. There's this, there's that. And you cannot avoid meeting the elders, the aunties, the uncles, those people who are always poking you, always asking you questions that they're not supposed to ask. I mean, someone will even ask you like, when are you going to have a baby? When are you going to bring the man? When they fully know that you don't have a man, but they will keep poking you like, when are you going to bring a man? Especially if you are attending a marriage or a traditional marriage or something that is related to someone that is younger than you, like a younger lady than you, they will be probing you. Look at her. She's younger than you. She's getting married. What about you? When are you bringing your man? I don't you know that you're getting old? When do you really want to have kids? Do you want to wait until you're 50 before you start having kids? I mean, they will poke you, and these things get to you. You know, we are humans. These things get to you. And also, if you look around and see all your friends are getting married, all your mates are getting married, they have started a family, they have kids, you also feel so bad. You know, you feel so bad to the extent that you will be so desperate, and you'll be trying to get any man that comes your way. You'll be trying to get the man to make you his wife or keep you in a long-term relationship. So this all depends on the culture. Like she said, in the Western world, you can just you can make peace with that, and you live in peace. People will not poke you. People are not going to pressurize you. People are not going to be dragging you everywhere they see you. I mean, in some cases, like in Africa, like Trevor Noah said something, like he was invited to an event, and then in the invitation, it was Mr. Trevor Noah. And then he called and asked that, please, can I bring another person? Like, I have my girlfriend. Can I bring my girlfriend? And they said, is she your wife or your girlfriend? I mean, must it be your wife? So you see how society places so much emphasis on marriage, on long-term relationship. Like a woman has to be a woman only when she's attached to a man. A woman has to be a woman only when she's attached to a name, a man's name, you know. So this is what is stirring the pot. This is where the pressure comes from. Because if we didn't have this kind of pressure from society, the patriarchal system, where women are only going to be known or to be seen when they're attached to a man, they are only going to be respected only when they're attached to a man, you know, we wouldn't be having this kind of pressure. I mean, so many women are they're under so much pressure. They want to get married. Oh, they want to have kids. They're so under so much pressure. Like she said, life doesn't revolve around being attached to a man. Life doesn't revolve around being in a relationship. If it happens, fine. If it doesn't happen, life goes on. Because you know what? Even when you get married, even when you have kids, you still have your own life. You still have your own life. But all the same, in conclusion, everyone wants to be loved, and they also want to love. Everyone wants to love and be loved. That's how I'll put it. Okay. Everyone wants to love and be loved in return. Everyone wants reciprocal love, you know. But then life is hard. Like how they say it, it's not a hard and fast rule that it has to be a certain way. You know, you can have all the love in your heart, in your life, that you want to give someone effortlessly, truly, you know, but the person doesn't reciprocate. They don't want, and you're not going to force this person to be with you or to love you or to like you or to be with you in a long-term relationship or to say I do or to propose to you, you know, all these things. You can't. That's life. That's how life is. So life doesn't revolve only around being with a man or being married or being attached to a man. We women have to make peace with that. And not everyone is going to find her Mr. Right. Not everyone. Because it depends on the energy that we give out. The energy that you give out is the same energy you attract. So if you're someone who gives out negative energy or toxic energy, toxicity, that's what you're going to attract. And you only have toxic men and men with bad energy. And your experience with men in a long-term relationship will always be bad. So it all depends. It all depends on so many factors.
And you do feel like you're behind in life, or you're the only one that's never been in a relationship, or you just feel like you can't relate to your friends because they're in relationships and they don't know what it feels like to be single all the time, you're absolutely not alone. And I hope that I can at least help you realize that you are so much more than being in a relationship or who you date or who you marry or being a mom or any of those sorts of things. Like, yes, those are part of your life and part of who you are, but they're not everything about you. So trust me when I say you're going to be okay. Everything will work out how it's supposed to. You are not alone. And while I don't fully know that for myself, that's something that I have to believe in, because then I'm just creating this like negative energy around myself and putting myself down and making myself really feel really like sad and pitied about where I'm at in my life instead of trying to enjoy where I am.